Good evening, hello and welcome to News Epicenter. I'm Anusha Soni. Back in March 2021, during the peak of the second wave of COVID-19, over 5 million doses of what they call AstraZeneca, or as we know it here in India, Covishield, was sent to the United Kingdom to be administered to the local population. All of them, by the way, were manufactured by Serum Institute of India. Under the present regulations of the UK government, Indians, even if fully vaccinated with both doses of Covishield, are deemed to be unvaccinated. Over 15 countries from the European Union recognize Indian manufactured Covishield as a proper vaccine against COVID-19. One finds little scientific reason or logic in the decision taken by the UK government. If not science, then what is driving the travel guidelines of the UK government? Is it politics, a colonial mindset, or the larger pharma interest driving this decision? We debate and discuss on Epicenter tonight.
Everybody knows it's identical. It's been proven. We've submitted that data to the EMA and the UK MHRA. Why have they not been able to come together? One standard QR code or some way to scan on your phone or other devices. One standard certificate.
When people with this vaccine from other countries are being allowed in, and Indians are not, it reeks of double standards. Certainly the double standards are incomprehensible. And speaking for myself, I do find it rather offensive.
Non-recognition of Covishield is a discriminatory policy. As we go along, we will have to see how it goes. But if we don't get satisfaction, we would be within our rights to impose reciprocal measures.
A bizarre decision taken by the UK government, and we argue that why is this move unscientific? All the decisions around vaccine policy or even the travel guidelines should only be driven by science and what the scientists are telling us. It doesn't look like so in this case. We tell you about how Covishield finds global acceptability. Covishield, same as Oxford AstraZeneca, how it is known in the United Kingdom, just different terminology. Covishield is approved after rigorous tests. In fact, it was the University of Oxford which was very closely monitoring the clinical trial. Data also shows that Indian jabs controlled the outbreak. They even worked against various variants that reached the world much later, and we had controlled them here in India. 60 million plus Covishield doses exported to about 95 nations under the vaccine Maitri. Many more million doses are set to leave the country and help various other underprivileged countries. 7 EU nations approved Covishield for travelers. Many more have been added to the list, including countries like France and Germany. Covishield has been given emergency use listing by the WHO, by the World Health Organization. It is one of those vaccines which is cheaper, easy to store, and a good option for a low-income country like India. Joining us on the broadcast are our guests, getting us more perspective. We have my colleague Sanjay Suri, who's joining us on the broadcast. We're also expecting Vivek Kajru, who's a former MEA secretary, to join us in just a bit. Sanjay, first a word from you. Help us understand, what is the word really coming in from the UK government? How do they justify this thoroughly unscientific decision that they have taken?
Well, it's a baffling decision, absolutely inexplicable, and there is no word from the UK government offering any justification for this. We do know that the UK ordered 5 million doses of Covishield, and in fact got 5 million delivered, and had ordered another 5 million and was in fact impatient to get those from India, and India had its own domestic needs, therefore those could not be sent. So from demanding yet more Covishield from India, the UK government has U-turned itself into saying it doesn't recognize it at all. In fact, if we recall, Prime Minister Boris Johnson had said that he will take up the case for Covishield with the EU and particularly the European Medicines Agency, which does not recognize it. And of course, that decision or that certification or lack of it has been overridden by 15 EU countries, as you point out. So from being very proactive in support of Covishield to now refusing to recognize it, what has brought this U-turn? it is not very clear. There is no word from the UK government. In fact, leading British scientists have said that Covishield is exactly the same as what people here called Oxford AstraZeneca.
Yes.
So, why this change? The only perhaps possible pointer could be that a number of people in Britain were administered Covishield and they could not travel after having been vaccinated with it. So it was turning out to be a lottery where this is coming from. So if they were to recognize it, then it would be logical for them to use it without a second thought and as AstraZeneca without thinking where the origin is. And that could lead to complications here. And if you recognize Indians as fully vaccinated, you're recognizing Covishield. But again, we are just trying to guess our way through this.
Exactly.
Even if all this is true, it still doesn't make sense.
I also want to once again introduce all the panelists who are joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Vivek Karjo, who is the former secretary at the MEA. Saksham Singh, he's a student who has been facing a lot of issues. He studied abroad. He's also joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Arun Gupta, who's the president of Delhi Medical Council, is with us. And of course, our Europe editor Sanjay Suri continues to be with us on the broadcast. Before I go to Dr. Arun Gupta and Mr. Vivek Karjo, Saksham, I want to come to you. What was your experience really like? You must have faced a lot of issues traveling from one country to another, vaccination norms, quarantine guidelines. What was really your story?
Yeah, so hi ma'am. So ma'am, last year I took admission in LLM in Canada, in the Montreal State University. So basically I took admission on the university. They told me that it will be just 4 months online and the rest of will be normal and the country will also ease. So on that condition, I took admission and spent the hefty money for doing this master's.
Yeah.
But then they linger on and they made it all online. And apart from that, I was just, in spite of having visa, my Canadian visa, I'm not able to travel. Every time they bring with the new thing, like for example, you have to be like fully vaccinated. One shot is not sufficient. Then they brought that line. Now you have to this vaccine. It's not allowed. We need Covishield for that. So then they bring this. But apart from this, my parents they were also supposed to travel along with me to Canada as we have half family over there. So they had this shot of COVID vaccine, and now they are in upfix. Now mixing is not allowed, and they are not recognizing that.
And Saksham, you know what you're telling us about countries not recognizing vaccines, the hefty expenditure that you had to incur. That has been the story of a lot of students who wanted to study abroad, and record number of Indian students every year go abroad to countries like UK, US, and of course Canada. I also want to bring in Mr. Vivek Karjo into the discussion. I'll come back to you, Saksham. I'll take all your points. But Mr. Karjo, would it be correct to call this decision of the UK government purely political in nature? What are the reasons behind this decision in your assessment?
Look, quite clearly the reasons cannot be the vaccine per se, because there is no evidence that there is any kind of shortcoming in the manufacture of the vaccine, which is of UK origin. Therefore, the only logical thing is that the UK has perhaps misgivings about the way the vaccine is being administered. But if that is so, they must tell us. There is no evidence, again, no scientific evidence that the vaccine, which is the way it is being administered, has any shortcoming. The world recognizes the administration of our vaccines. The world recognizes that India has done superbly after a little bit of difficulty in the beginning in vaccinating such a large population. So what is there in the UK? Now, if the UK claim that India is a great partner country of the UK, then they must come clean and tell us the reason why they think that even with Covishield, which is recognized by the WHO, which has no problem at all in any country, which the world is asking us to donate to COVAX, that they have a problem with it. So I think that the UK is being terribly short-sighted in the way it is approaching this issue. And if it doesn't come clean within the next 24 hours, it will do incalculable damage. And I use these words deliberately because Indians will not forget this action taken by the UK on the vaccine.
And
it is inexplicable. In my diplomatic experience, have never seen a decision like this by any country.
Very interesting and very strong words, Mr. Kaju, that you're using. Let me also bring in Dr. Arun Gupta into this discussion. Dr. Gupta, does it baffle you? Are there any valid concerns that you can think of that a country like UK can have on manufacturing processes or the way in which we are administering doses here in India? As a doctor, as a medical professional looking at this pandemic, fighting this pandemic, it is clearly not scientific.
Yeah, absolutely. As a doctor and as a scientist, it's absolutely illogical and it defies all the logic. I could not think of any strong reason from that country. How can they say that? And still, they haven't come with any plausible reason also. Because this vaccine, as far as Covishield is concerned, is same technology. It's Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is used in UK also. There's no point in it's really absurd and no logic at all. And moreover, this vaccine has been approved by more than a dozen countries in EU. And US is going to approve this vaccine from the 1st of November. And this vaccine is one of the 7 vaccines approved by WHO. So what is the logic? I cannot understand. It had to be something beyond science or medical thing. As this gentleman said before me, I think India should push very, very hard diplomatically. And they must understand that this UK must understand those are gone are the days when they could have suppressed a country like India. Now their economy and their university and their students are also dependent so much on Indian economy and Indian students going there, and because of those money brought by Indian students, their students getting subsidies also.
And Dr. Gupta, it was UK that was waiting for those AstraZeneca doses that they call it, during April, during the peak of the second wave here in India, and we actually delivered those orders. Sanjay, I want to come back to you. If I were to get a sense of how the domestic policy concerns or sentiment has been around international travel, the concerns vis-a-vis India, what kind of policy atmosphere are we really witnessing in the UK? Because you said it's a complete U-turn that the government has taken. Could you see any domestic political reasons really driving this decision of the UK government? Because there are no scientific reasons. We can only think of politics around this issue.
Well, there is no domestic uprising against Oxford AstraZeneca as manufactured in India. There is nobody questioning that. The people aren't. They have no basis to. They have no information, needless to say, which would lead them to raise these questions. This is a UK government decision. But as we were discussing a little earlier, we are into guesswork.
Yes.
The only indication so far as the science goes is that the European Medicines Agency had refused to give certification, and its stated reason, which is not to say that it is a good reason, but its stated reason was that a vaccine is a biological substance. There can be a lot of variations in manufacturing conditions that can affect the consistency of this, and they left it at that. So they were hinting that they had not enough data to certify that the same vaccine as manufactured in India was worthy of certification. They suggested that, but they did not back that. The parallel in the UK is that the UK government seems to have fallen in line with that stated, supposedly scientific reason. So as far as the science goes, this is about as far as we can go.
Well, I agree with you, and one has to speculate about the reasons because there are no scientific reasons that have been given by the UK government so far. Mr. Vivek Kaju, I'm coming back to you. We are also in a world where many countries, including, say, India, China, great part of Europe, America, Canada, are vaccinated. Now a new problem is emerging. A lot of vaccines, say a Covishield in UK, which is the same kind of a vaccine which is being used, a Covaxin, it is not even being recognized by the WHO so far. Do you see increasingly in different relationship between different countries, this kind of mutual recognition being the next problem for various countries, including India? And how is it that we can solve it, Mr. Kaju?
I think we've got to take this very vigorously on the diplomatic front. After all, there are vaccines in India which are being manufactured under license from abroad, and as Mr. Suri was saying, if there is a feeling that because it's a biological substance, there can be some variation between the ones that we are manufacturing and the ones and the parent vaccine, that technology of which or raw materials for which are coming from abroad. Now, if there is no scientific evidence to back that there is a difference between the vaccine being manufactured here and the parent vaccine, then there is no business of any authority to raise doubts about it. Any doubt that is raised cannot be based on speculation. And at the moment, it seems that there is speculation, because it is a very, very serious charge to make that the manufacturer in India somehow has a shortcoming in the vaccine which is being manufactured abroad, and the parent, there's a difference between, then there's a difference between the parent vaccine and the vaccine in India.
Yes.
It is, I will repeat, a very serious charge, and it has to be backed by conclusive scientific evidence. No authority in India can accept such speculation. That's one. Second is vaccines that are of Indian manufacture. Now, I see no reason why vaccines of Indian manufacture, which our own authorities have accepted for emergency use, should not be accepted abroad. I do not know why WHO is dragging its feet on on at least one vaccine, which is widely used in India. Now, I've read somewhere that they say that they'll take a decision and announce it on the 5th of October. It's much too late. And therefore, if WHO on the one hand has been pressing us consistently, and the Americans have been pressing us to release vaccines for the world, and the government has taken a decision on that, even though India needs vaccines, it has no business to drag its feet on vaccines manufactured in India, which are being administered here and which have no side effects. In fact, they are proving efficacious. After all, India has a responsible medical community. We have an eminent doctor on our panel, and he and his colleagues are recognized the world over for their excellence and their commitment to medical science. Surely.
And across the world, Indian doctors and scientists.
Any
as you're pointing out, Mr. Kajol, let me take those points to Dr. Arun Gupta as well. Dr. Gupta, we're talking about the decisions which may seem purely political in nature. The fact that a vaccine like Covaxin, WHO has been dragging its feet. There were multiple discussions about the TRIPS waiver that could be given, how the richer countries should make a way for poorer countries and not hoard the vaccines. And here a country like India, supposedly a low-income country, has vaccinated a huge section of its population, and now the vaccines are not being recognized. As a medical practitioner, how do you see this entire situation, and going forward, will this divide be rather more apparent in the next few days?
I think it's going real bizarre now, because what about Covishield or even Covaxin we have been using for so many months, and we have been crores and crores vaccine has been given in India, and we have a very robust data suggesting that this vaccine is very good, it's very effective, it has minimum side effect, as good as any other vaccine. Then why WHO has been dragging its feet? It has recognized only 7 vaccines. Now, if this news percolate down to people, now people will start thinking maybe something wrong with Covaxin. Now, on the one hand, this whole world is battling with the crisis of more people, lesser vaccine. Now, suddenly they come with this kind of data. Maybe Indian Covishield is not good, Covaxin is not good. Now people start losing faith in medical science, our own vaccine. WHO must understand it's a global crisis, not a crisis confined to some country. Now they must think in a global sense. Now people need to restore confidence in our vaccine also. They must come up with very some kind of logical answer why the UK is not recognizing Covishield and why WHO has not recognized Covaxin so far. I think Indian government must take answer from WHO very seriously.
And Dr. Gupta, the fact that we are scrambling for logical reason and answers, that tells us that a lot of things are not really transparent in the manner in which, say, a UK government is working, on the manner in which WHO has been dragging its
even
feet.
WHO, why to spare WHO? So many months Indian government is pressing for Covaxin, and Covaxin is doing to crores of people. As students are running from this place to other places, they are not being allowed. Why not Covaxin also?
All right. I want to take in a last word from Saksham Singh, who's a student who's with us on the broadcast. Saksham, why don't you tell us that what is it that a student really wants right now? You know, we have Adar Poonawala who's saying there should be some kind of a universal vaccination certificate. But you're a student. You have faced the brunt of the situation. What kind of mechanism should exist internationally in the next 1 or 2 years? Because we're hoping that the pandemic will wane off eventually, not going off anytime soon. What kind of mechanism should exist to address the problems of students like you?
I think there should be a separate, specifically if we talk about these students, their main motive is like to gain knowledge, and typically students from South Asian countries, we are going there to learn, and we are paying more than 4 times above than their local students. We are helping these. I'm not talking about one country. I'm talking about all these Western countries where most of the Indian students they are. You can say the boost of 25% income which we like bring to them. Either it's America, Canada, UK, so like it's like big help. So there should be a separate thing, a separate plan, even for future as well, because you don't know them. In some year, like more pandemic will come or anything will happen like this. So there should be a separate thing which for the migration process. And apart from this, and because students who are going out, they are very matured and they are responsible because they are going from outside from their country to learn. So there should be a separate mechanism. Apart from that, there shouldn't be discrimination, which I found that I have some of my friends from Western countries, like European, they entered in the country, but the same parameter is different for the countries like India, Sri Lanka, like specifically if I talk about. So there should be discrimination, and there should be same parameters.
And I agree with you,
everybody.
Saksham, that while each country is free to have their own set of precautions, there should not be any kind of discrimination which is there, which is thoroughly unscientific in nature. And of course, there's big money also involved. Each time you go, if your vaccination is not recognized, you also pay for your test, for your quarantine. And of course, those costs also count. And look at the number of people, students, travelers, business interests that move from one country to another, especially here from India to countries like US, UK and Canada. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Vivek Karju, Saksham Singh, Dr. Arun Gupta, and our Europe editor Sanjay Suri getting us all the details on that story. There's some breaking news coming in right now. 5 people have been detained after AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi's house at 24 Ashoka Road in Delhi was vandalized. That's the big bit of news which is really coming in right now. My colleague Anvit is getting us all the details on this very important story. Anvit, take us through the details.
Yes, it was around 4 p.m. when a group of men reached Asaduddin Owaisi's house at Ashoka Road. Owaisi, who is the chief of Majlis-e-Ittehadul Muslimin and also a member of parliament from Hyderabad. The men reached his house. The men have been claiming that they are members of Hindu Sena, but the right-wing outfit. However, the police have detained 5 of them from the spot, and they are being questioned to ascertain their affiliation with the right-wing group, as they have been claiming. Now, initially when the police received a PCR call around 4:35 p.m., the team of police personnel reached the spot. And when the police have reached the entrance, and some windows, including a nameplate and a few lights, had already been vandalized at the Owaisi's house. But these 5 men had been detained and they have been taken to police station. Now the police will be questioning them, trying to find out what sparked this incident. And as during the initial claims, the 5 men have told police that they had been upset with the Owaisi's recent comments regarding regarding Hindus and again some religious comment that he had made. So
all right, Anvit, thank you so much for getting us all those details. And as my colleague is pointing out, people have been detained. The questioning is underway. We have to see what kind of charges police eventually presses, and if these people who have been detained right now will be eventually arrested officially. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Epicenter. Thank you.